Gosh, it feels like the voices in my head are now outside my head.
Welcome to amorephillyunion, the podcast where sometimes the breaks come at just the right time.
Mm-hmm.
We're your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm C.
And I'm E.
Welcome to our episode this week. It's a little different from our last couple of episodes in that we only have one game to talk about.
My subtitle for this episode is Whew.
But before we get to that, E, any updates on the podcast? Any interesting reader or listener?
No, just kind of, well, I mean, we are getting a lot of love from the Netherlands. So I just want to shout out all the folks over there in the Netherlands. We appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. So, drop us a line. Let us know how things are going over there. And be happy to give you guys a shout out. So thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, feel free to shoot us an email pod at amorephillyunion if you'd like.
Yeah. Send us
Also,
some
we
mayonnaise.
enjoy your orange color in
Yes.
sports. It's very Flyers orange.
That's true.
If I had to pick a second international team to support or a national team to support based entirely on color, Netherlands would be a very, very strong contender. Yeah.
So talking about that, I actually little Netherlands soccer story. I was traveling for work one time, and I was in Puerto Rico, and I found a Netherlands branded soccer ball, one of those mini soccer balls. I forget where. It was somewhere around the hotel that I was staying at for work. I proceeded to kick it around for a couple of weeks. I kept it with me as I was traveling. And then I was in an airport at one point, and there was a family, a good-sized family, and they had a little kid who was melting down. So I pulled it out and I gave it to him. I'm like, this wasn't mine. I don't even know if they spoke English. I was just like, hey, would you like this? And he kind of reached out and tentatively took it. I just kind of handed it to him, waved. The parents were a little weirded out, I think. What's this weird guy who's giving us this Netherlands soccer ball? But it was mainly orange, and I think it had like their flag on two spots on and
Nice.
it was amazing. It was great to have.
Oh,
What was this family Dutch?
I honestly couldn't tell
Okay.
you.
All right.
It was in Puerto Rico, so probably not. But
Yeah, chances are.
who knows?
But you never know. Yeah.
But yeah, they were in the airport, and this kid was just melting down. So I just kind of took it out and was kicking it around on the ground. And he was staring at me, and I passed it over to him, and he passed it back, and I passed it back to him, and I waved, and I walked off.
And that kid was.
Yeah, right.
That's really cool. That's cool. How old was the kid?
Probably 4, maybe.
Oh, bless.
But let's get to the Union and the Union game from this past weekend. They were continuing the road trip after their Toronto game. They headed south to Dallas, Texas.
I think they went straight from Toronto down to Dallas.
They
I think.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took the whole crew, just kept them all together. Go play in the warmth of Dallas. Bit of a shocker because Andre started the game in Toronto, but then Rick started in net in Dallas. And I'll admit, I kind of got worried, but looking a few things up, it still does look like Andre has been called up to Jamaica. So I suspect that then he did not play in the Dallas game to kind of give him a little, basically use the Toronto game to kind of work back in some fitness and then get the day off against Dallas.
Yeah.
Maybe he was on the bench. I don't remember. Does anybody know that?
I don't.
No,
I
I
don't think he was. No.
No,
Okay.
Zemla. Yes.
Zemla was.
Zenla, excuse me. Yeah.
But yeah, so Rick started, and I imagine I admit that when I heard that it was Andrew Rick, I was like, oh please tell me that Blake didn't injure himself playing in Toronto.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah,
no,
it's
I
less
think
about
it's other
Rick being
things.
in it. It's more about Blake not being injured.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then I would also say that this definitely seemed more of a non-starter starting lineup for the Union.
Mm-hmm.
In that was Harriel, Macania, Wagner and Westfield on the
Mhm.
back line. So Glesnes got a rare, subs. He was on the bench.
Yeah.
Bedoya, Bueno. They did get a the new guy, Ben Bender, got his first official start for the Union. And then
Mhm.
Danley Jean-Jacques was in the midfield.
Mhm.
Sullivan similarly got a rare start up top with Aura.
It was Donovan.
What did I say?
You said Sullivan.
Sorry. No, you're right. Yeah, it was Chris Donovan and Aura up top.
If you want to do a clean start on that one, feel free.
No, that's okay. I don't mind.
All right.
We get things wrong.
Yeah. Once in a while.
But yeah, so I guess the biggest things about this game, so just let's spoil the score. There was none.
Yeah.
It was a 0-0 or a 0-0 draw, depending on how you want to call it. And the Union certainly seemed to have plenty of chances in this one.
Yeah, man.
And so much so that Dallas had a red card, a double yellow in the first half.
Yeah.
As was it Abubakar, their one
Mhm.
defender, got sent off after 2 yellow cards. And it seemed like the stars were aligning for this 9th game in May for the Philadelphia Union to turn into a W. But no matter what they did, they just could not get it into the net. They put it over the net. They put it onto the roof of the net. They put it off the upright.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't get it in.
I mean, if you
not
took the
for lack of trying.
spatial, yeah, if you
Yeah.
took the spatial average, they scored like 4 times. Yeah, no, it was, I mean, I think it says something that one of the key entries is in my notes is actually a lack of entries after like the 70th minute because I fell asleep. Where it was just
I was
uh
kicking you, but
yeah,
yeah.
and I woke up for the ending, but
Mhm.
yeah, Chris and I were talking about this today, and we'll get into some of the details of the game, but kind of like at first, and I still am a little bit disappointed in this game, right? It's a
Yeah.
0-0 draw. We didn't score. We didn't give up any shots. Rick did have a couple of good saves. But you know, when you have that man advantage, it's so
Yeah.
important to
Especially for more
capitalize.
than a half.
Right.
Exactly. However, as Christy pointed out today on our walk, um, we got to look at the kind of the more, I think it's important to take a more holistic view, kind of a bird's eye view, 30,000 foot view. I don't know, but the big picture. And let's talk, you know, I think talking about how this game fits in the crazy marathon that was May, I'm kind of okay with it. I'm not happy, but I'm not too down on this one. We'll see at the end of the season where when we need 3 points and we don't have them. Um, but
I
yeah,
mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, this like well, it really did feel like that last firework going off after the finale. Just sort of that last sad little, it doesn't really come to anything. But yeah, when you do look step back, I think that, we went through May unbeaten. We're still in the Open Cup.
yeah,
It was an absolute marathon. I mean, I felt like I partly lived it with them going down there 3 Wednesdays in a row, because we don't live that close. Um, although we definitely know the route by heart now.
you're driving in my
But
sleep.
I know. So,
Don't do that though.
yeah, no, probably not a good idea. Who says he hasn't though, Paul?
That's
But yeah,
for the
so
lawyers to figure out.
yeah. So I think we're I mean, this is the spin that the union's putting on it too, but I actually think that there's truth to it. That it would be nice to have come out stronger, finish that month strong, but the fact that we finished without losing,
Yeah,
maybe that's a low bar. Maybe we should be shooting higher. I don't know, but if you think about where we thought we'd be by this point in the season compared to where we are,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
yeah,
I'm okay with it.
yeah.
So,
Going back to this game specifically, I think I'm to blame here because my notes, one of the first things I wrote down here was a tidbit that the announcers threw out, and that the Union have never won in Dallas. And I wrote down, the Union have never won in Dallas, ... yet. Well, that's that line will continue. So I apologize, everybody. I should not have written that down. Um,
Very solipsistic point
so-
of view.
Oh,
Ooh.
your fault.
Gosh, it feels like the voices in my head are now outside my head. Um,
I learned that from The Good Place. Hmm.
solipsistic. Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
great word.
Yeah, if you can say it.
Yeah.
But
Um,
um,
so one of the things that in the first half that's besides the red card was Aura being subbed out fairly early. He looked kind of yeah, he gave the signal like, yeah, I got
mhm.
to come out. Um, do
Not a
we
good
know?
signal to get from a striker.
No.
Yeah, especially Aura who, you know, does have the jets and can run the full 90 and the fact that he's
Yeah.
given the signal to come out in the 37th minute. So do we know what's going on with him?
I haven't seen anything.
I
See?
will. I'll go take a quick look if you guys want to just tap dance a little. Then.
So I mean, the red card, yeah, to be honest, I don't remember what the first yellow card foul was by Abubakar, but that second one, I mean, I see the look on the ref's face of just relief, where he's like, "Phew, I don't, there's no leg to stand on with this one. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, he made a bit slide tackle after the ball was past him.
yeah,
And he was high. Yeah, it was clearly a yellow card.
yeah,
And part of you wonders what the heck was the guy thinking when he did it.
yeah. Now Donovan did fling his arms up a little bit on that one, but that doesn't take away from the nature of the offense. It was
Correct.
obviously a card offense, and when you already got one in the first half, actually it was only 8 minutes prior.
Hmm.
You gotta dial it back a little bit. Um,
I can't find what his injury is, but he has had groin injuries in the past, and I believe wasn't he sort of holding his
yeah, that's right. He
not
was.
his actual bits, but
That's right. I remember as he was walking off, you could see he was holding the lower abdomen kind of,
yeah, and
groinal area.
Well, hopefully Aura is only slightly hurt
Yeah.
yeah.
and can make it back for the season once it re-kicks off again on the 14th.
I did put up a poll before this
Oh,
match,
right. Yeah.
a little bit different than we've done in the past. So you just say, "Oh, do you think we're going to win, lose, or draw?" Right? And it's pretty straightforward. But for this one, I asked our listeners if they thought that um, the Union Dallas rivalry in soccer was as strong as it is in football. Um, and by and large, the answer was no, it's two very different things.
Yeah. I
So,
agree with that.
I mean,
I do
we
too.
had opinions across the board, and that's sort of how I felt about it too. But I have learned from my job that how I feel about things is very much not how other people do, necessarily. So, yeah, I'm trying to pull it up, but I can't find it now. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like we said before, this is a 0-0 draw. The Union definitely had opportunities. They seem to do a good job containing most of Dallas's opportunities. That's not to say that, you got Acosta on the field. He's going to make magic happen from time to time. But the Union did definitely prioritize defense in this game. And when they got up by a player, it seemed that they locked it down and kept the ball in the attack significant amount of the game. Did a great job attacking, just could not find the back of the net. So while it wasn't dropped points, like you said, it certainly was a frustrating 0-0, 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not to continue to throw this guy under the bus because I don't mean to. Damiani had a couple attempts that, you know, the running joke that we have is what's the cost per goal so far for Damiani? And there were like two attempts that, you know, look, I understand this game's a lot harder than it looks, and I'm not trying to put the guy down. It was a little frustrating. Just there were two shots right in front of the net, and it went wide. It's like, okay, I get it. Danley, Lukic taking longer range shots. Sure,
Right.
right? You're kind of that. I mean, this was a 4-4-2, so you're kind of a central midfielder, and you're taking these shots. That's fine. And those were equally as close or as off as Damiani's. But I guess I just hope that Damiani can find the back of the net soon and start, uh, just getting those goals.
Yeah, I mean, for a while there, Indy was the one that I wanted to see more from.
Yeah.
And now I'm a little more satisfied with Indy, and I'd like to see more from Damiani.
Yeah.
More on frame. Like he feels erratic in his like play style. Not that I'm worried about him getting cards, like, not that kind of erratic, but I just in that, like, just sort of wild shots that don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard not to attach this to him, but again, for as much as we spent on him, which is not
He
his
is the
fault,
multi-million-dollar man.
Yeah.
they made such a big deal.
That hyped
Anybody
him
they've
up.
made a big deal out of signing,
Yeah.
and right off the bat, I shouldn't say that. I'm sure somebody could prove me wrong, but it just seems like the bigger deal we make, the less of an impact they
Yeah.
have. Now, I'm not saying that's where Damiani is at this point, and it's to say it's early days isn't true accurate, but I think there's still time to
Yeah.
prove himself. But so far, I'm sort of, just blinking and wondering
Yeah.
what's going on there. But
Now, that said, if he gets hot in September and if the Union make the playoffs and suddenly he's scoring a goal or two each playoff
Great.
game, yeah, totally worth the investment.
Absolutely.
100%.
Oh, I'm
There's-
not mad at him. I'm just like
Yeah.
waiting to see
Yeah.
what's going on here.
No,
So,
I get you. I get you. And I
Yeah.
share that feeling as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I know it's, this is a very nuanced thing, being a striker, a lot of things have to go right before you even get the ball.
Sure.
So I acknowledge that. But it just feels like there are a lot of times in these games where you got the ball and,
Your job is to put it on frame.
just put it on frame. And I mean, some of these were, split second cross. You got
Right.
no time to think. It's got to be all reaction and muscle memory. I acknowledge all that. And I'm not saying he should have made those goals. It's just that it's one thing if a player, gosh, this really sounds like I'm dumping on him, and I don't mean to. I want him to be a success. That's exactly why I'm saying this. But it's just, it's one thing if a player doesn't fit into the larger style or strategy of the team, but I don't feel like that's the case here. We're getting him the ball. He is fighting for the ball. And again, I want to give my shout out. You could see, to me, it seems like he is frustrated out there.
Oh,
like,
he is.
It's like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, and the ball is not going into the net. And I guess that's what I'm saying. So I don't know what juju we need to acknowledge to make the ball start going into the net, but whatever it is, we got to do that, for Damiani. Maybe we got to change the hashtag to pray for Damiani. Exactly.
Well, yeah, I think it's both now. I think it's pray for Ura and pray for Damiani.
Yeah.
For different reasons. Now it's injury relief for one. But yeah. Hopefully, like Paul said, hopefully, he finds his metaphorical footing and actual, I guess, footing.
Yeah,
Come to that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So we are looking forward to seeing Damiani start connecting
Yes.
and getting these shots on frame and hopefully resulting goals and points for the Union.
Yeah.
But after, we're halfway through the season now. We're 17 games through the 34 game
ridiculous.
season.
We're really halfway through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch.
right.
There's a break here in the international break, and then there'll be a break in August or so for the
Okay.
MLS Liga, Mexican League tournament.
Yeah.
But at this point, Union are sitting overall number one in MLS with 34 points. Now they have a game or two in hand against a bunch of teams, and Montreal has a better points per game score in that Vancouver, has played 15 games and is sitting at 32 points. So they have 2 games in hand on the Union. and so they have a slightly better points per game. But right now,
Hmm.
the Union, after 17 games this season, are 3 points shy of their total point get last season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now they didn't make the playoffs last season, obviously, but because
Mhm.
37 points, you don't expect to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Union are currently sitting in first place overall at 34 points. So it's been a very successful first
It,
half of a season for Bradley Carnell.
yeah.
So pray for Ora and Damiani. Apologies to Carnell. Is that where we're at? I don't know that
Well,
I don't think we ever said anything
no, no, no.
negative about him.
I think we were skeptical is not I mean it truly in the classical sense. Like we
Hmm.
did not know, and
Yeah.
we wanted to see what would happen. And I gotta say, we're halfway through the season.
We're all feeling pretty cautiously optimistic about
Yeah,
the chances.
Emphasis on the cautious. I think
yeah,
everybody's very nervous about that part.
yeah.
Um,
I think there's like two main variables or spheres. One, injuries. We got to keep this to a
Yes.
minimum. I mean, you know, we got to keep Blake healthy. We got to keep, we got to keep everybody healthy.
Although bless Rick, I mean, he really has. I
Yes.
mean, I know he's not Blake, but he's really
Yeah.
shown up in
Yeah.
the games he's been in. So,
Yeah. I completely agree with that. And then the second thing is whatever Bradley's methods, procedures, philosophy, whatever they are, like, let's just hope he can keep the rhythm going, right? It's kind of like
mhm.
playing Guitar Hero and you've made it halfway through the song and you've hit all the notes, and now it's gonna get a little bit more technical here with the guitar solo coming out. Like, can't miss those beats. Don't miss those beats. Stay in sync, and I think it's kind of
Mhm.
now like, let's keep this clock running, right?
Mhm.
And I think I think there's something good going on here. And let's just hopefully it just keeps going.
One thing that's impressed me about Carnell so far this season is that he does use his subs fairly well.
Mhm.
So I'm curious to see, at some point they're going to run across a team that's going to have figured out how to thwart the Union's first
Yes.
and second and third types of attacks.
That's one of my concerns.
And
Mhm.
it'll be really interesting. It'll be really telling. It'll be, hopefully a good sign if Carnell makes some subs, changes some things up, and then counterattacks or counters the opponent's ability to shut down the Union's
Yeah.
attack.
Mhm.
And I think if we see that happen 2 or 3 times, that'll definitely be a very potent signal that Carnell's got the team where he wants it to be, that
Yeah.
they're tuned, they're listening to him, they bought into his style, and it would be very good to see for the Union as a fan, in that it would really secure, in my opinion, that this team's going to go pretty far. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, making it to the playoffs, getting good position for the playoffs, that's stuff that teams can plan for. And then, playoffs are playoffs, and
Mhm.
things can happen. But at least if you're well positioned, you're putting yourself in the best position to get as far as you can.
And
Hmm.
we may have, I mean, it's hard to say, but we may have already seen that without fully realizing it. Because if you think about it, when was the last time you saw a Kai Tai?
Yeah.
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 So, we were relying on that fairly heavily, or else it was just playing out very well early in the season. And, other teams started to know to watch for it, in my
Hmm.
estimation. And, so we had to switch up tactics. And it's not to say Rebo's not going to be front and center a lot of times, or, well, maybe not front and center, somewhere in the trapezoid. But still, we may be seeing a bit of that without
Yeah.
fully realizing it. So let's hope
Yeah.
that that's true.
Yeah, Paul, I agree. I think that's kind of my biggest concern, right? This happened under Curtin too, right? I think, was it last season or the season before, right? The only team that could beat the Union was the Union, right? It's basically once teams understood how we played and they would just kind of play a similar game against us, and we would either the game would grind to a halt or they would get the upper hand. But the point I agree with is I like how Carnell is making use of different lineups, different configurations of players, different subbing, all that stuff, so that when a team comes in, they're not sure which version of the team we're going to get. Even with the team that we start with at the beginning of the game, the possibility tree, right? There's multiple options here, and it's kind of get harder for teams to be able to predict and account for what we might do on the field. All I can think is that scene from 13th Warrior after the one of the guys gets in a gruesome battle in the like with one of the working hands and defeats him kind of surprisingly, and he comes walking back and he just says, now they have to account for what they can't see, right? And I feel like that's kind of the Carnell thing. Like, just because we fielded one lineup, one type of team this day, and just because we're starting with a certain lineup on the field now, doesn't mean that's what you're going to see in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's hard to do. And so for that, like, both for the players and Carnell, I mean, there's a lot of spinning plates here. I'm trying to think of how many other metaphors I could throw in here. But
Well, thank God we have the players to
it's
do that.
metaphor
too.
salad.
Yeah. Go,
But
Christy.
I mean, thank God we have the players to do that too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I think it shows a versatility for the players. Like,
right.
one point maybe, some players, especially as midfield players, you're going to be playing a defensive midfielder. Now you're going to be like just a solid centered midfielder, right? And there's a different strategy you're going to play, Again, my new favorite player, Danley, right? The way he can just go from a defending to an attacking midfielder, it just makes me smile.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So-
that's what I mean by this rhythm. Like, so these things, it's things are clicking, and as long as they can keep like zigging and zagging and whatever it is they're doing in terms of strategy and ability, it's got to keep it going for 17 more games.
And we
That's
just
it.
got,
Just 17 more.
Plus, then whatever happens after, the
and we
playoffs.
just got to hope that Aura and Damiani and maybe Donovan can start scoring some goals.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Change some of these draws into wins would be really, really
Yeah.
welcome.
Yep.
I mean, he did go to Drexel though, so
I'm not
Carnell
sure what
went
that
to
means.
Drexel?
I'm sorry.
Alrighty.
It's an old joke now. I should stop.
It's a good one.
So the Union, 34 points, like we said, 17 games. May was tremendously successful, 9
Yeah.
games, 7 in the MLS, 2 in the Open Cup, 6 wins, 3 draws. And any way you look at it, it was a very successful.
Yeah.
It was a very successful May.
And that's what takes the sting a little bit out of that 0-0 draw in Dallas.
Really
Again,
does.
it would have been great. I'll put this in air quotes. They should have won that game. But if you had asked me back in January, 9-game month in May, and the Union goes 6 wins, 3 draws, I would have been like, yeah, absolutely. I'd be thrilled with that. So, yeah, it's a bit of perspective that I appreciate Christy pointing out, because
Now, technically, one of the Open Cups was draw at the end of regulation. They ended up
but we
PKs,
still
but
technically won it.
still a win.
It's still a win.
Still a win. All
That was a
right.
great game. I was hoarse
Yeah.
for 2 days, I think.
Well, another game coming up this weekend is an international friendly as Union hosts Atlas from from the Mexican League. It's not streaming anywhere, so the only way to see this friendly is to go buy some tickets and go see the game. It's
We're sending Trevor, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
said Trevor.
Trevor the intern.
Trevor the intern.
I mean, I do have the tickets for this game, and we'll see if I go. I don't know anything about Atlas. It's not a big draw to me. It'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see if it'll be basically a home game for Atlas. If a lot of Mexican League fans show up just to cheer on a Mexican team,
Right.
Yeah.
or maybe we'll be lucky and the Union fans will turn out.
Yeah. I'm just grateful we have a little bit of a break in the schedule. I mean, both for the players, the staff,
Yeah.
also us as the fans.
Yeah.
It's a welcome break. And I hope the team is taking whatever downtime they can to heal up, because
Well, to be fair, there's quite a number of them that are actually off with various national teams or youth national
This
teams.
is true.
Big news right now is that Nate Harriel was a injury call up to the U.S. men's national team on Sunday. I'm not sure who got injured, but so that puts both Nate Harriel and Quinn Sullivan in the U.S. men's national team, as well as
Nice.
Brendan and Paxton Harrison, as Paxton was also called up as an injury substitute,
Nice.
injury call up for the U.S. national team. And in all, there's a lot of union representation on this on these U.S. teams.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like that's been kind of a consistent thing over the past few years.
And it's mostly a testament to the academy, I think, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it uncommon to have had 3 sets of brothers on your own team? Like on because the union has had, I know Paul, you were saying about brothers on USM&T, but like, but we've had 3 sets so far in club history, and I'm just wondering.
It's
I don't
pretty
know. Is
rare.
that
I don't know.
Is it
I don't
rare?
know the numbers, but it's got to be
Sure.
fairly rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to like research this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just curious. If that's something that anybody's ever seen. So
Yeah. Trying to think of
Interesting.
other brothers that have been on other MLS teams.
I know like people who have brothers in the sport, but not necessarily on the same team, because I think Higuain,
Yeah, were those were they
wasn't
both
he,
on this?
didn't he?
Were they both with Columbus?
No, I don't think so.
No, they were both in the league, but it
Yeah.
was Federico and
Oh, don't ask me to remember.
God, I got to play for Real Madrid. Anyway, yeah, I'll if we get some time, I'll have to look into that. And if any of our listeners know that one, if siblings on the same team,
You give
particularly
us
in MLS.
some good examples of siblings we're forgetting,
Yeah.
who played for either the same team or in the same league, because obviously we don't remember.
Yeah, when we get done recording, that's when I'll remember one.
Yeah.
Well, technically, there are 4 Sullivan brothers, and all 4 of them are in the union system now. 2 of them are on the full team, and the other 2 are in the academy teams. So there's a chance you could actually have 4 brothers all on the same team if they showed enough improvement.
It's not like the service where they don't allow that.
Was that like the beginning of Private Ryan with the 4 brothers?
Yeah.
So as you can see, as we're talking about union brothers, there's not a whole lot of news out from the union this week. So as such, he had a moment of inspiration and decided to put together another union trivia game for us.
Yeah.
So you want to take it away?
Go for it.
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty straightforward. I wrote this up kind of as we were prepping our notes for tonight's episode. So I'm calling this game Kai, Tie, or Nigh. And by Nigh, I mean no. So I have about 8 facts here. And you're going to tell me if this fact belongs to Kai Wagner, Ty Baribo, or neither of the 2.
No.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Are we going to take turns, or we both have to answer each?
Ooh. Should we take turns?
Do you want to take turns?
Let's take turns.
All
I don't
right,
know. What do you think, Paul? What do you want to do?
I'm good with that.
All right.
All right.
So let's do it this way. If we get it right, you get your point. If you get it wrong, does the person get a chance at half a point if they pick the correct of the remaining?
Yeah, right. Because just because you get it wrong doesn't now mean you know what the answer is. You still have 2 options. This is kind of like the Monty Hall problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
I like how we figure out the rules as we're recording.
Yeah, right.
2 points for a correct answer. 1 point if you steal it from the other.
There you go, Paul. I like that.
Okay, there it is.
There you go. There's nothing like complexity to make a game more entertaining.
Nothing like a little game theory on our podcast.
Yeah.
And no negative points. If you get it wrong, you just get it wrong.
Yeah, if you get it wrong, you get it wrong. It's just okay. So technically, I have 9 questions. So I'm going to go with this.
Why don't we do 8 of them? See if we're tied, and we'll do the 9th if we do. Otherwise, we can just do it for fun.
Okay.
And Christy can go first. Ladies first.
Oh
Okay.
boy.
So I don't know. There's 8 questions. I guess I'll just kind of randomize them, and
Yeah.
then let's do that. So I will use a random number generator. All right. So Kai, tie, or Nye. This player's debut on his national team ended with a Germany win. So this is
Tie.
for Christy.
I realize this could be a trick, but I'm going to go with Kai
With a K?
with a K.
That is incorrect.
Incorrect, because he hasn't played for. It's tie.
Well, Paul gets a chance to. Is it tie or Nye?
I'm going with tie.
The answer is it was Ty Baribo. He was playing for Israel as a friendly, and they lost 0-2. So Paul gets 1 point.
Dang it.
I gotta make a list here. Hold on.
I'm already down. It's not good.
All right, Paul gets 1. All right, Paul, you're up. Or yeah, I will fix that one out. Here we go. This player has played in the 3rd tier of the Bundesliga.
Oh, that's Kai.
That is correct. Kai has played in the 3rd tier. That's 2 points for Paul. All right, Christy, you gotta.
Yeah.
All right, you gotta
Go
pick
ahead.
it up here. Here we go.
All right.
Hey, you get this one right, we're only down by 1.
I know I just made a hasty mistake. I don't like it. Go ahead.
Okay, this player has a martial arts background, holding a black belt in Taekwondo.
The fact that you threw in a Nigh option is what started me. I would say tie.
That is incorrect.
Dang it.
Paul,
I'm going to say Nigh.
Nye is correct. It's Zlatan has a black belt in Taekwondo.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Of course he does. Of course he does.
So it's 1 point for Paul.
Man. There goes my trivia reputation.
You're tired. We're going
That's
to put
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all right. Thanks.
yeah.
Appreciate that. That's generous of you.
Okay. Paul,
Yes.
this player has stated in the past that they consider themselves as half Jewish.
Oof.
Oof.
I'm going to go Nigh.
Nye is correct. It's
Boom.
it's David Beckham.
Really?
Actually, yeah, his it's I think it's his grandmother on one side is Jewish, and
Okay.
Okay.
he has said that he has considered himself to be part of the Jewish community.
Interesting.
So
Christy's just being very nice to me right now. Let
Mm,
me get some of
yeah.
these.
Like
Give me that false sense of security.
okay, Christy,
Mm-hmm.
this player has, by some convention, an unusual middle name.
Kai with a K.
That is correct.
Yes.
Christy gets 2 points.
On the board.
And I feel like we talked about this.
I feel like I heard something about this. I
Yeah.
don't know if we talked about it, but
What's his middle name?
His middle name is Harley, as in
Okay.
Harley Davidson. So
that
I
is
don't know if it's
unusual.
actually named after the motorcycle company, but
I mean,
Possible.
yeah.
India is named after the movies, so why not?
Yeah. All right, we have 3 questions left,
Yep.
and the score right now is 6-2.
Oh boy.
All right, so 3 questions. Here we go. Paul, this player has played for Wolfsburger AC.
Where the heck is Wolfsburger? I'm going to go with Ty with a T.
That is correct. It's an Austrian team. And
Oh, really?
I was hoping to
Make me think Kai for that one.
flush one of you guys out, yeah. But yes, that was Ty Baribo. It was yeah, I'm not sure what tier it was, but yeah. I don't know how long it was. It was a fairly brief. I think it was a 2-year contract, and I don't know if he stayed the full 2 years.
Very
All right,
cool.
that gives us 2 questions.
But Paul has already won.
Paul has pretty much won this. Yeah, he's won this. So now it's just for honor. So
Okay. Well, congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
all right, Christy,
Yes.
this player has never had a Philly cheesesteak.
Ty Baribo.
That is correct.
He's
Another one.
keeps kosher.
He keeps kosher. Yep.
I do want to know. I do kind of wonder, like anytime he scores and stuff, he does this thing where he pulls his shirt up over the back of his head, and he seems to be reciting some sort of a prayer. I am kind of curious what that ritual is.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right, hit me with the last one.
When we get him on the pod, we can ask him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Paul. This is now just for show. This player was selected to the 2021 MLS All-Star team.
2021. Kai.
That is correct. That's 2 points for Paul. So, end of regulation, it was Paul with 10, Christy with 4.
End of regulation.
So, so I'll give Christy this last question.
Yep.
Dibs on
Oh.
it. Yep. So this, even though this would be the tiebreaker, so this player's father owns a water sports center, where then this player was first noticed for his talent as an 11-year-old. Kai, tie,
So many
or Nigh?
questions. So many questions. What is a water sports center? I mean, I can make a guess, but I'm gonna go with Nigh.
Paul.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I'm going to go with Kai.
Listener.
Oh,
Oh, well, at least we both ended up getting
Yeah,
the last one.
there we
wrong.
go.
It was Ty Baribo. His dad owns a water sports center.
I need to know more
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
That's where Ty was first noticed for his talent.
Wow.
Very cool.
It's hard not to say water sports. Water sports.
Water.
Yeah. Oh, and I see Paul was keeping score. So thanks.
I was.
Okay, there we
Yeah,
go. Quick one.
memorialize that one right there and, print it out right over, send it to Christy.
I can get you a Skywriter if you want to fly it
I
over
think
the
I need
house.
to get a more Philly t-shirt with the score on it.
Add that to the story.
Wound salt.
All righty. Anything else from you guys this week?
I'm just
No,
looking
I
forward
think
to
that's it.
a little bit of taking
bit
a
of a
foot
break.
off the gas pedal for these
How
next
about
couple
it?
weeks. So
Yeah.
Well, thanks for organizing the trivia, E. That was fun.
yeah, we'll see what we come up with in the coming weeks here. I'll have to go for more walks. That's right.
Yeah. Get our ideas.
So with nothing else to talk about with regards to the union, to those who are going to the Atlas game this weekend, hope you enjoy it. Hope the weather cooperates. It's been pretty nice so far. So if we get a couple of days, another day like this, so it would be nice. As always, you can reach us at our website, amorephillyunion.com. Please do send us any questions via email or on our socials, especially Instagram, and we'll be sure to include them in the pod. For that email, you can reach us at pod@amorephillyunion.com. Our social media accounts are all amorephillyunion. You can find that on Instagram, YouTube, Threads, and Bluesky Social. We have our very eclectic Spotify playlist under amorephillyunion. Make sure to tune in, check out, see what's the latest song added, or maybe you forgot one that we mentioned in the past. If you do want some amorephillyunion swag, you can check out our online store, where you can find links from our socials in our via our link tree. And if you look on our webpage, it's near the top. Please download and subscribe our podcast wherever you get yours. And while you're at it, go show some love for one of our favorite forces for good in the world, the Philadelphia Union Foundation. Check them out at philadelphiaunionfoundation.org. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in for another episode of More Philly Union. We're your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm C.
And I'm E.
Go Union!
I knew you were gonna do something weird. I knew it. I could smell it.
Oh, that's just the jersey on me.
Yeah, well, that's true.